Yeah, from Little Kim, the Queen Bee. It's ladies' night, what? It must be Angie on the mic. The butter pea, honey, got the sugar, got the spice. Roll the L tight, keep the rhymes right. Yo, I just straight this motherfucker up last night. And I'm the rookie on this all-star team. Me and Kim is getting cream, like Thelma and Louise, but on chrome. Never leave that Brooklyn shit alone. So if you say it's on, then it's on. Bang this in your whips, that them cold roadie with the chips in the wrist. Here's a French kiss. I dismiss all you chicks. Spit 6 from the 4th, 5th, make it dance. Ow! I stay focused in the dopest, like a penny with the hole in it.
It's always a pleasure to welcome you to the program Ladies Night. My name is Ameze Obaisiago, and of course you can call me the Empress. And yes, today on the show we have an interesting topic to discuss. Basically, recently in the last 2 weeks, or within the last 2 weeks, we've heard a lot of cases of rape, and really sad cases if you ask me. And today we're going to just take a holistic look at it. I have 2 guests in the studio, not my usual guests. The ladies, they decided to sit back and watch this time. So I have 2 special guests on the show today that will help me to talk about this really sad, I don't know what to call it, it's really sad situation talking about rape. Now I have a doctor in the house, in the person of Dr. Osawese Izomo. How are you doing?
Fine, thank you.
It's lovely to have you here.
Thank you.
And I also have a lawyer, because we also have to talk about the legal aspect of rape, in the person of Barrister Usato Akenwa. Good evening, how are you doing?
Thank you very much, I'm very fine.
Nice. All right, so yes, it's going to be an awesome ride on the show today because I have professionals who are going to be talking with me today. Not just talk, but they're going to talk professionally. Now, I'm going to start off with our lawyer talking about Barrister Usato Akenwa. What is the legal definition of rape? Okay. How does the law see rape?
Okay, thank you very much. Rape is something that is a trending topic, but it has been in our culture. It has been a culture, not a good one, but a very bad one for some time now. And thank God that there's awareness. People are beginning to speak up, which is very, very commendable. So rape, you know, law changes. It is dynamic. Before now, it just used to be from the criminal code. It just used to be when a man has sexual intercourse, unlawful sexual intercourse, with a woman without a consent or against her will. But right now, the law has gone beyond that. We now have a new law, Violence Against the Persons Act, which has been domesticated in Edo State, Violence Against Persons law. And that it defines rape to mean when there is an intentional penetration by any person, could be a man or a woman, of the anus, the vagina, and the mouth of a person. And so it goes ahead to give other instances, and then it must be done without the consent of that person. So rape has transcended that aspect where it was just a man that could rape a woman. Right now it's now broader. You now have situations where a woman could rape a man, but most times we like to concentrate more on rape, yes, on the female, because we have a whole lot of statistics where the man rapes the woman. And so if we're going to look at rape holistically, we'd see that rape is not just what a lot of people take it to be. Most times what people think about when they hear rape is when a lady is beat by, let's say, 2 or 3 guys. One is holding her hands, and then she's on the floor, and then she's screaming and shouting, they tear off her clothes, and they feel that's rape. That is rape, but that's not the only instance where rape can occur. It could even be between a boyfriend and a girlfriend, and then they're caressing and all that, and then the lady says, I don't want to have sex right now, or I don't want to have sex. And then the guy goes ahead to say, no, baby, let's do this, and something like that. It's trying to persuade, and she's like, no. It could just be a saying no, or she tries to push him off, or she's like moving ahead and like with that symbolizing the no consent, I don't want to do this. So rape could happen in a lot of instances. What is important is, was it with the consent of the person? So consent is what is important. And then when there is penetration, then rape is said to be complete.
Okay, that's legal aspect. Now let's go to the medical angle of this now. We're going to be looking at the victims of rape.
Okay.
What are the health effects on them?
Okay.
Do they have any issues when such things happen to them?
Okay, thank you. The issues surrounding rape, and from the victim's point of view, are so many. They cut across the different parts that make up health. Health being the not just the absence of infirmity, but any physical, mental, social. Some people even go as far as saying spiritual abnormalities in a person.
Seriously?
Yes, by WHO definition, though I just paraphrased it. So, on the physical aspect, if you were to see a rape victim, what are the signs you would probably look out for? Person would probably come in with, first of all, I have to say that rape is not always forceful. Like she has mentioned, a lot of people think of rape as being forceful, but rape isn't always forceful. But looking at it from the forceful point of view, forceful rape, you have things like abdominal trauma. That's probably the person was hit in the stomach area, what we call the stomach. Person might come with,
When you say
basically,
the person was hit, like how?
in the bid to weaken the person,
Okay, they
the
hit the
victim,
person.
you might
Okay.
punch the girl, you might hit her in the head. So the person might be injured anywhere from the head down to the toe. She might come with cervical injuries, that's injuries to the neck, the vertebral column in the neck. She can come with a broken hand, she can come with a broken leg, abdominal trauma, you see blood, like internal bleeding, what you call ecchymosis. Those are just the physical parts. Then the vaginal area, you want to look out for things like lacerations, that's tears or cuts, or really any injury in that area, because a lot of these people, when they are raped forcefully, they come in with tears around their vagina, their labia, that's should I call it the lips that cover the vagina basically. Then you would also want to look out for sperm. That's one of the hallmarks you will get, because somebody has been penetrated, so you would want to look out for sperm, you want to look out for blood. Then for forceful rape, you can also check the fingers of the patient. If the person was conscious, she would have most likely tried to scratch the person, bite the person, kick. So when you look at the nails of such patients, you might be able to pick up a few DNA samples. Where DNA technology is available, you can check those samples and find out the person. Maybe the person will match against some existing data or existing basically existing DNA from other criminals, so you'll be able to match it. And where that is, if the person is not already within that, what do I call it now? Within the system, the person hasn't ever been reported for a crime, so it will be a new entry.
Well, does that happen in Nigeria?
Well,
Because I'm not sure.
one of the innovations that I believe should happen, I don't know if it had started, but with things like the BVN, when we all registered for our BVN, they took our fingerprints. So that should be the database to match whatever comes in. Your fingerprints, your fingerprints. You don't even share the same fingerprints with your swing. That is how specific it is to you. So when you are able to lift fingerprints from these people, it could be matched with the BVN. I don't know if they already do this, but it is a possibility in the future. Then for the patients that come in without signs of forceful penetration, the person might come in unconscious. The person might come in and you can smell alcohol on the person. You know this person was drunk. The person might also have been drugged. So where toxicology screens can be done, you want to check the blood for opioids. Those are drugs that are checked for. There are some drugs that are honestly cleared up very fast, so you might not get signs. That is why rape is it could be a little confusing for the persons who come to the hospital, because you might not actually be able to get signs when it is not physical, like when it is not forceful rather. Then that's just for the physical. For the mental point of view.
Before you go to the mental aspect, you've just listed or given us some insight on how to know a person who was raped. Or what I feel you just did was give us the female angle. What of a man who was raped? Are there any physical signs?
It would be the same, pretty much.
Okay.
If rape, first of all, like she has rightly mentioned, is penetration without consent, any orifice, be it the mouth, the vagina, the anus, whatever, provided it wasn't consensual, it is rape. So you would want to examine the anal region still for lacerations, for tears, for injuries.
Okay.
You would also want to take samples from there because, well, if a man were to be raped in the anus, it would most likely be a man. If it weren't a man that did it, it would be through the use of instruments. So you might not be able to get sperm samples or blood samples, but you'll be able to visibly see the trauma that has occurred there. Then also if the man was aroused, he was aroused to the point of achieving erection and was raped, because that is even a possibility. You would want to take samples from the penile region. It's more difficult because unlike the vagina that is inward, the penis is outward, so it could have been cleaned, pretty much cleaned. So it might be more difficult to get samples from a man who was raped. Like, well, you understand what I mean?
Yeah. Okay,
Exactly.
so you're talking about other effects, health effects.
For the health effects, when it comes to mental health, they range from more acute symptoms, that's the symptoms you see almost immediately, and the long-term effects. For the immediate effects, you talk of depression, you talk of acute stress disorder, you talk of basically that, like these persons are, these persons are triggered for something like, yes, acute stress disorder. The person within the first maybe 3 days to a month is easily triggered by things that remind the person of the traumatic events. It's kind of like a spectrum. There's what we call PTSD. PTSD is post-traumatic stress disorder. So from acute stress disorder, you have a spectrum down to post-traumatic stress disorder. Somewhere in between, you have adjustment disorders. So these patients, if they are reminded, let me give an instance. Somebody was raped in a restaurant. Very unlikely though, but a restaurant. Then the person passes any restaurant. The person is reminded that I was raped here. The person starts showing signs of difficulty in breathing. The person can't even breathe. The person vomits. The person cries. Like, basically, even though nothing is directly blocking your throat or your nose, you just cannot breathe because something has triggered that emotion in you. Or persons with depression, they just fall into this state of deep sadness. They suddenly don't have any energy to do anything.
Yeah.
Some develop suicidal ideations. They want to kill themselves. Things like that. So those are the mental effects. Then for the social effect, some of these people no longer want to interact with their family members. Even the idea of, oh, if I tell my mother, if I tell my father that Mr. A, our neighbor, this, that raped, would they believe? So because of this mindset of I can't talk to them, I don't think they trust me, or you tell them and somehow it falls back on you that you are the cause. These people fall into depression. They no longer even want to, like anything that concerns their father, their mother, they are no longer interested. So those are some of the social effects.
Okay. I'm going to ask both of you this question, but I think I'll start with Barrister Usatu. Is there a legal difference between sexual assault and rape?
Okay.
Because I got to know that they're similar, but not totally. So I want to know, can you clarify the difference between sexual assault and rape?
Okay. Like we said earlier on, we said rape has to do with an intercourse or a penetration, intentional penetration of the anus, mouth, or the vagina of another person without consent. And it could be done with any part of the body or even with an object. So it doesn't just end by using a part of a person's body. It could be done with the finger of a person. So it could be done through an object, using an object on the person without his or her consent. So when it comes to sexual assault, it's anything outside rape. Anything that has to do with sexual advances outside rape. For instance, there was a viral video recently where a lady was going, I think, in a public transport from whether Kaduna, I can't remember, Akure to Abuja or Abuja to Akure, something like that. And then a man that was sitting beside her was trying to use his hand and to caress her or something like that. That is sexual assault because there is no penetration. So if she were to go to court, she would not be able to prove that there was rape because there was no penetration. So if, for instance, a person is at a restaurant as a waiter and then a man hits her on her buttocks, that's sexual assault. If a person forcefully takes a kiss from another person, those are sexual assault. So when it does not have to do with rape, penetration without consent, so it's most likely going to be a sexual assault.
Okay. Medically, what's the
Okay.
difference?
From what I know, it's like there's a kind of overlap. Sexual assault is any sexual act without consent. So in a way, rape falls into sexual assault. It's just that you rather call rape than sexual assault, not so that you don't minimize the gravity of the
crime.
issue, exactly, of the crime. So sexual assault could be touching, kissing, anything that happens, any sexual act of any kind that is done without consent would be seen as sexual assault. Exactly.
Okay. All right. We'll be talking about rape right here on Ladies' Night. Of course, I have two special guests in the building talking about Dr. Joan, or rather Dr. Osawese Ezomo, and of course, Barrister Usato Akenwa in the building. They've been talking to us about the legal and the medical aspects and of rape, rather. And we're going to go on a short break. We're going to clear the air a little and then we'll get back to the studio. If you want to be a part of the program, yes, you have that opportunity. If you have questions for my guest or you just want to contribute, you want to make your own opinion heard, you can go up on our Facebook page. It's Ladies Night on ITV/radio. Ladies Night on ITV/radio. Send your comments there or your questions there and definitely we'll take them on the show. It's still Ladies Night. Do not go anywhere.
And it don't stop. Ladies night, turn around, this is ladies night. Ladies night, and the feeling's right. Oh, this is ladies night.
All right, welcome back. It's still Ladies Night right here on ITV with yours truly, Ameze Obaisiagbon. I'm still with my guest on the show today talking about Barrister Usato Akenwa and of course Dr. Osawese Ezomo. All right, now we're going to head back. We're still talking about rape in case you're just tuning in, and we've talked about the legal definition and the medical definition of rape. We've also talked about signs that you can see in a victim of rape. And of course, we're going to move on. Basically, when someone says they're a victim of rape, there's a way that society looks at that person. It's either they're feeling sorry for you or they are castigating you. So I want to talk about this. I don't know if you've had any experiences where a victim says, this is how I was treated and that's why I don't want to talk about it. Especially you as a doctor, I'm sure a lot of patients probably might have ever talked to you about it. That, okay, I was raped, but I don't want anybody to know. And as a doctor, you cannot talk. Yes, because I'm sure you signed the whole secrecy when it comes to your patients. But have you ever experienced, or do you have any experience of people who would say, this is how they treat me, this is how they won't treat me, so I don't want to talk about it, and stuff like that?
Okay, minus the professional aspect, me being a doctor, simply being female, I'm sure I've mentioned this to maybe friends or on my social media platform or maybe WhatsApp or something. I don't think there's any lady who doesn't know another lady that has been raped. In all truth, there's hardly anyone. So minus being a doctor, when maybe you're taking the obstetric history of patients or the gynecology history of women that come in for different medical issues, some of them might tell you, oh, they were raped, that's why they had this child, whatever. But that was just on one side. On the other side, friends have said this before, that they've been raped, maybe even by armed robbers that robbed a hostel in wherever, and then they couldn't report to anybody. They simply just went to a hospital and got treatment. And the same reaction is what you get from most of them. I can't tell people because I would be victimized. People will first of all ask me where it happened. Why did I leave my door open? Then you say, oh, I locked my door. Say, okay, why were you wearing really skimpy nightgown? And you say, it is my room. I should be dressed the way I want to sleep in my room. Like, isn't that enough? But people still tell you, no, you should have one jeans sneaker and jeans trouser on top. Silly comments like that. And when it's like being robbed, for instance, when you tell people, oh, they obtained me or they stole my phone, people actually sympathize with you for your balasa phone.
Especially if it's a lady. Well,
It's
if it's a man, most men would never
Most men would never
it.
talk because
It's like, they raped you. Wow.
it's very funny. Most men have, in fact, that have experienced any form of sexual assault or actual rape, be it, should I say, children in boarding schools that have been touched inappropriately by their fellow boys.
Yeah.
They don't even mention it because they know society will just brush them off. Then the ladies don't speak about it in most cases because even the ones that come out, the questions that follow are always very uncomfortable and unnecessary. What does the fact that I was... In fact, another issue is the fact that a lot of people who have been raped, they're not even raped outside their homes. A lot of people that are raped in their homes. There was a child I know, I didn't see her myself in posting, but it is would I say it is a case that is talked about in virtually every class that goes through that posting. It was a 3-year-old girl who came in with what's called genital warts. So seeing the girl, it was obvious that this girl had been sexually molested repeatedly because you cannot get genital warts from sitting in your house. So they started probing. Okay, mommy, who do you leave this girl with? The mother said she leaves the girl with her own mother. That's the baby's grandmother. So they asked grandmother, Mama, who do you leave this baby with? And she said the baby had, sometimes she leaves the baby with a neighbor when she wants to go and buy something, or maybe she just wants to stretch her leg, or something as innocent as that. And then you find out that the person you trusted with your child raped your child in your house, like a 3-year-old. Why not ask the 3-year-old what she was wearing? Or where she went to?
Yeah.
It's that silly. Or you hear of things like pastor, priests, silly things like that. People you trust your children with, teachers, Sunday school.
Yeah, actually, so
it's very silly.
A 4-year-old child, yeah, she was 4, and she was even able to talk about it. She said, "Uncle will carry me," like her teacher in school. He will carry her aside, take her to the back of the classroom. He will tell the others that this one is very stubborn, she does not know anything, she's this one, he wants to go and punish her. So he takes her outside while the others are playing, small kids. While they are playing, he takes her to the back of the classroom and he's molesting her there. And she couldn't talk because he always buys one particular sweet. And she even described it. The sweet has chewing gum inside. He buys it for me and tells me I should not tell my daddy and mommy. If I tell my daddy and mommy, he will make sure that I fail. I will never pass my test. As small as she is, she's already so... It was really, really, really traumatic from when I watched that video. And still talking about so many cases recently, talking about the one that happened right here in Benin, talking about, what's her name again? Uwaila Vera. It was really a sad...
Exactly.
Like I keep hearing people saying, where is safe for a person now? She went to church to read and then the next day she's dead. It was really traumatic. Okay, Barrister Osatu, have you ever had any experience where a lady says, okay, I can't talk about this because, or a man, as the case may be, I can't talk about it because people will look down on me or people will ask me silly questions and blame me?
Okay, our society has a blame the victim, the rape victim mindset. Most times when a person is raped, the society blames them. They are asked silly questions like she said. What were you wearing? Why were you in his house in the first place? Why did you enter into a free ride? And so many other questions. There was a particular incident that happened while I was serving. I was on our way back from court. We met a little girl And then there were a lot of people with her just in front of the court. And then I asked my boss, I was like, what's happening? Why did so much fuss about this little girl? What's happening? And then he told me that she was raped by, I think, a 60-year-old man.
Oh, Jesus.
And it was that day I realized that rape was not really about, because society has made us to realize that, oh, she was very attractive. She was tempting me. That was why I could not control myself and I had to have my way with her. It was that they actually realized that rape is not really about the sexual urge or about the attractiveness of the female. It's not about what she was wearing. I mean, that little girl, she had not even started developing breast. There was nothing like beautiful, attractive about that little girl. She was just an innocent soul. And then I asked, I was like, are you serious? So this 60-year-old man raped this little girl. And then I was going to take the case up personally from that day. The next time I asked him so I could get in contact with the family of the little girl, I was told that the family had decided to drop the case. Why? Because society told them that, oh, you are going to, do you know how she's going to grow up living with that rape history? Everybody in this community is going to know that she was raped. And instead of the little girl getting justice, instead of the victims getting justice, they are told, they are blamed, they are victimized even more. And that's sometimes even as worse as the rape, because they have to go through these things every single day of their life. They cannot open up to friends because their friends will judge them. They cannot tell their parents because their parents will blame them. And then society will always have something to say. Society will always have questions. Society will always say that, oh, that story is not believable. The truth is that most rape cases are not, they are not believable, but it doesn't mean they are not true. Exactly. So that's why we need more women to speak their truth. It doesn't matter whether the next person believes you. Your truth helps you to heal. So if you want to, if you think it is time for you to speak your truth, and there's no time limit. The very good thing about it is that there's no time limit for you to come out to speak your truth. There's no time limit for you to come out to seek justice and say, I was raped by this person. I want him to face the wrath of the law and all that. So that's why more people need to speak up. And then society, we need to stop blaming the victims. We need to stand behind these people and tell them that it's safe for them to come out and speak their truth.
So earlier on, you made mention that there's no time limit as to when someone can talk and speak their truth, as you said it just now. How about when you go to court, you decide, okay, this is time for me to talk about this. This is time for me to tell the world what I went through. Does the court not work with witnesses? Like, is there not supposed to be a time when they call on someone to come and say, okay, I'm aware that this happened to this person, or I was there when this happened to this person? If you delay the time when you come out and speak out and try to seek justice, are there chances of you actually winning that case?
Okay, that's like a very, 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 very valid question. Talking about time limit, the law doesn't place any bar on when a person can come and speak their truth and then try to seek justice. But we advise people to always come out early enough so that they'll have a better case. They'll have a better chance of getting real justice to their case. Like when we talk about, I'm very happy, I'm very glad that there's a doctor in the house, because when it comes to rape cases, you work also with medical personnel, because what we advise rape victims to do is that immediately after that ordeal they go through, very unfortunate ordeal, which we hope that by this awareness, society would speak up and stand up for these people so that more people will be aware of the rape culture, which is a very bad culture, and try to do something about it. Yeah. So when these people get, when it happens to a person, you know, or something like that, it's good that they go to an hospital and then have a medical doctor check them, and then all those things will be used in court. Those evidence, what the victim was wearing, signs of the semen, although it is not like it is compulsory that there must be a semen or something like that. It's not compulsory, but those things, they help to the victim to get justice.
They're like the evidence.
Yes, they are all evidence that will be used in court.
So I came across, I know there are a lot of laws, a lot of codes backing rape. Now I came across section 357 and 358 of the Criminal Code, cap C38, Laws of the Federation 2004, and it says the punishment for rape is imprisonment for life with or without caning. I think that caning should mean flogging.
Yes.
Okay, so is this enough punishment? I don't know, Doctor, why are you laughing? It sounds really hilarious though. But anyways, do you think it's enough punishment for a rapist, especially the fact that they practically take away the life of the victim? Is it enough punishment just to keep them in jail for the rest of their life and probably cane them?
Okay, a lot of people have divergent views on the punishment presently as it is, being life imprisonment. There are some groups that have been advocating for the castration of the organ of the males, and I don't know, I think there's something being done at the National Assembly.
The National Assembly actually kicked it out. Did not agree to it. They voted against it.
Exactly. So
I think they should revisit it.
Okay.
I think they should.
And another area we'll look at in that castration, like right now that rape has become broad, it's no longer just a man raping a woman, like as the law has defined it, a woman could also rape a man. So if we're advocating for castration, so what about the female genital? How's that going to?
It's treasure.
And just, you know,
you took something from me, take something from you.
Okay, so that's those are the areas looking at it. But I think what is even more important is these people get justice first. We could try to advocate for castration, but at least these ones that are coming up, let them get justice.
Yeah,
I think that's a better way to look at it.
Okay, Dr. Osawesi, what is your own opinion? Do you think that's enough punishment, life imprisonment with or without caning? Some might go free, they might not get caned, for some.
Honestly, the caning actually sounds very funny, but this is a very serious issue.
Yes, it is.
I'm of the opinion that the issue is not just about life imprisonment. The issue goes beyond that. You are in prison forever and you still don't know what you did. The problem with the rapist starts from the mind.
Well, if someone is in prison, I don't think
it just means the person won't rape another person. The point of going to prison.
They try to do it in the prison. Because I don't know. I feel
the point of the punishment is not, well, it's punitive, yes, but it's supposed to also be rehabilitative. So it goes beyond that. Like, these people should also be resensitized and reoriented about the fact that they had taken something so personal from someone else that they had no right to do. And not just that, even as prisoners, these people should be displayed for other people to see, so that people would not think, it's not true, or they are not really arresting people. Let them know. And let them be examples. Let them show other people that, yes, if you do this, you will spend your life in prison. And then, minus that, reorient our boys. Like, reorient our boys and our girls. Let them understand that. For the girls, understand that your body is your body. You don't owe it to anybody other than yourself. If somebody were to take something from you, were to rape you, speak up. You might not speak up immediately, but speak up and speak out so that other girls can also feel empowered to do the same thing. Then for the females that molest younger boys or even molest their age mates or whatever, they should also be punished. If you are going to castrate the men, you might also, like you said, have a hysterectomy and probably what you call a colpoplexy. That's you remove the uterus and then you sew up the vagina. Let's know that it's not that you cannot just have children. You can also not enjoy sex. But I'm really of the opinion that that doesn't solve the issue. The issue is more, yes?
There are a lot of people who have been, because a lot of protests have been held recently, especially within the last 1-2 weeks, especially after we heard of the case of Ms. Waila. And some others as well. There was another one, I think in Ibadan or so, Barakat. So a lot of cases have been popping up lately, a lot of annoying ones as well. Now, looking at all the cases that have come up lately, a lot of people have gone out to the streets to protest, and most of them are calling for the immediate termination of life of a rapist, a confirmed rapist. Now, once this person has been confirmed to be a rapist, yes, you committed this crime, they should just kill the person immediately. Because like some people say, sending them to prison, they're going to be feeding them there. They're going to be ensuring that if they get sick, they have to be treated while in prison, because you have to be alive to serve your life in prison. And that's taxpayers' money in quotes. It's government that's funding the prisons. So if you say they should go there, it means they're enjoying themselves. Now, how about we just say, okay, you're guilty, you're dead. They just probably shoot you or hang you or put you somewhere that you would just die immediately. Something like that. Now, do we adopt that? Once you're found guilty of rape, you should just be killed. Today we're all putting on black, because I actually appealed to my guests to do that, because I feel like following Uwaila's death and some other people talking about the whole rape, it's not just Uwaila. Uwaila's one is the one that has actually come to the fore. A lot of people have heard, in fact globally, I even saw on CNN the report was there, and so many other international stations as well. There are a lot of girls who have died from this, especially in the north. They don't get to talk about it because most people will tell them, keep quiet, what are you saying, that kind of thing. I hear there's a disease or an infection or something that happens to the vagina of a young girl if she's sexually active or if she was raped. I think,
not just rape. When,
especially when they're really little.
yes, it's what you call vesicovaginal fistula,
Yes, thank you.
or rectovaginal fistula. It's a kind of communication between the vagina and the urethra. Yes, sorry. And for those of us that don't know, urine doesn't come out of the vagina. Learning point. So there's a different opening where the urine comes out from, and a different one for sex and birth. When there is a tear in the vagina that communicates with the urethra, it means that from where this woman is supposed to give birth from, or girl, because it's commoner in the younger people who haven't attained full sexual maturity, their sex organs are not fully formed, and yet somebody is trying to stretch everywhere, tear everywhere. So when there's a communication, it means that urine will be able to come out from the vagina, and that would automatically increase the possibility of infection. Urine is a very good culture. Like, when I say culture, I mean urine feeds bacteria. So when urine begins to come out of the vagina, it increases the risk of infections occurring in the whole genital tract. Yes. So the vagina can get infected, you have vaginitis. The cervix can get infected, you have cervicitis. The uterus can get infected, you have endometritis. Then you have salpingitis. It just keeps going. And then these girls leak urine everywhere because the vagina would not give continence. Continence means they are able to control the way they urinate. This means that anytime there's urine in the bladder, it will eventually just leak out. So these girls no longer live normal lives. Everywhere they go, they smell. Nobody wants to associate with them. Nobody wants to even talk to them. Suddenly, they become outcasts in their society. Nobody sells things to them. Their parents throw them out of the house. In fact, most of them are married, so their husbands throw them out of the house.
But it was their husbands who caused this thing.
Exactly.
Especially in the north, because I know when I researched on that thing, I think a year ago, I actually got really passionate about that particular issue. And it was really traumatic because it happens mostly to girls in the north, because they send them out, they ship them out to one 40, 50, 60-year-old man, and they're just 12. I remember my security man in the house, his wife was 13. My younger brother, like, I used to look at a small boy, then this is his mate that is already married. She was actually even younger than him with some months, and I'm like, I hear her at night, and it's obvious that something is happening, and she's screaming and she's crying, and I'm like, why? Why would a father give his daughter, no, not child, to someone like at that age? It's seriously, I don't know about you, Barrister Osato. Do you think they should be killed once you are found guilty to have committed rape? Just die. Because that's what a lot of protesters are actually clamoring for right now. So do you think it's okay?
Okay. It depends on what society. Like I said, law is dynamic. It changes with time. So because people are already advocating for death penalty, it means that society is beginning to say, no, that law of life imprisonment no longer meets the justice of this case. So they are advocating that it should be a stricter punishment, it should be death sentencing.
Yeah.
So I think the lawmakers should look into it, because the judges will only give sentences based on the law that has been implemented. So the lawmakers, they should look into that, the crowd of the people.
Okay, so I have some messages already on Facebook. Yeah, if you want to be a part of the show, if you want to send in questions for my guest, or you want to make your own comments heard, you can go up on Facebook, search for Ladies Night on ITV/radio, and of course we'll read out your messages. I have a couple of messages here already. This one says, laws about rape may be passed by National Assembly or whichever body, as it has to do with son to nobody or nobody to himself. But what happens when it involves a son to somebody or somebody himself? Will justice not be turned wormwood? Okay, so I'm going to direct this question to our lawyer, because it talks about the law. Now, basically what this person is trying to ask is, when it's someone who is, should I say, of the lower class, the law may apply. What if it's somebody who is of the higher class, a child to a very rich man, or a rich man himself that committed this offense? Now, does the law not change?
Okay. The law is the law, whether it's for the rich. We don't have a separate criminal code for the rich and a separate one for the poor. We don't have separate violence against persons acts for the rich and for the poor. The law is the law. The thing is that when it gets to court and then you have your evidence, justice will have its way. It doesn't matter. There's a very good example. Like just recently, there was a viral report of an former ESCON mobile staff who raped his tenant's niece.
Yes.
So, like, that's a big man. He felt he could do and undo, but the law got him. So I think these are instances to show that there are no separate laws for the rich and the poor. We just need people to speak up, need people to do the right thing, go to police, go and make your report, and then the police will charge those matters to court, and then the case is on its way.
So some more messages. I have this one saying, I think there is nothing the government can do about rape because they have failed in their responsibility as government by making the economy hard for the citizens, most especially the youths and the children. Since there is hardship and poverty in the country, what do you want the citizens to do? And please warn the government that capital punishment won't stop rapists from performing their act. There is no profitable thing for the youth to do. Congratulations to the Nigerian government. They are reaping what they are sowing. Are we actually... Okay, this message is weird. I'm sorry. I know it's your own opinion, but seriously, they shouldn't... Okay. I don't know. Does anyone else want to react? Because I'm
a little confused. Is he trying to say that?
He's blaming the government for the actions of rapists.
Okay.
How...
Sorry, what I got was that people are jobless, so they are raping people.
Yes, that's what the person is trying to say, that because there's not... The economy is too hard.
Are we justifying rape?
Exactly. That is why I am strongly of the opinion that it is not even about capital punishment. It's really not. The issue is orientation. Like, why do you feel so entitled to someone else's body? You won't even rape yourself. So why would you go and rape somebody else?
Exactly.
That's the issue. I think this is the time where NGOs should stand up and go to primary schools, go to even kindergarten. I've seen poems that I used to explain consent to babies, to children. There's this one that says, whether my pants is mine, basically don't show your pants to anybody. Very catchy rhyme. And that would appeal to somebody that is 4 years. So he understands already, or she understands already, that if this uncle, this auntie is saying, let me see your pants, you know, shout, stranger danger, immediately. So it is time for people to wake up, start to reorient the mindset of our young ones. let people know, first of all, your body is yours. You own it. You don't owe it to anybody. And then let the other set of people, or this same set of people, know that somebody else's body isn't yours. You have no right to it. If person doesn't give you consent, what are you doing there? So reorientation is the long-term best bet that we have. It might take a while, it might take a while, but we have to start somewhere. And he's of the, or she, I'm not sure. Can you imagine? This lady is of, or woman is of the opinion that nothing will happen. People need to wake up to understand that something will happen. Even if you don't get justice immediately, justice of Twitter would even start first, because they will trash the person who has been mentioned to be a rapist. They will start from there. And even, like you said, speaking your truth begins your healing. So people should change your mindset, change your orientation to understand that something will be done. Thank God there are many NGOs nowadays that would fund your legal battle. They will pick it up and take it to the last. So please speak up so that someone can help you. Like they say, if you hide your problem will hide you.
Yeah.
And that is just the situation. Speak so that you can get help, so that you can heal. And then let's reorient our children or the next generation, and even this generation. Gradually, grown men, grown women are beginning to see that it is not about the dress. It is not about the skirt. It is not about the attitude. It's about the rapist.
Okay, how about you? Were about to say something, or she has actually helped you?
Okay, I was about to talk about training the boy child.
Okay.
Most times when we look at rape, we're always telling the girl child, don't do this, don't do that, don't, and giving her do's and don'ts. And even after she follows all these rules, there's still a consequence at the end of the day. What we're avoiding most times, it still gets to the girl child. So why don't we start talking to the boy child and telling the boy child that a woman's body is not your entitlement, whether she's your girlfriend, whether she is your friend, a colleague, or whatever. You are not entitled to her body. When she says no, she means no. When she says no, it doesn't mean when you touch her a little bit, she would not say yes. No. No means no. So more men should get this point, that when a lady says no, she means no. And then there's this thing that's going on now, like when a lady, a street person, maybe they talk to the lady and then the lady doesn't accept, they go and team up with the other boys. And that needs to stop. That is so wrong. When a lady says no, it's probably because she doesn't like you, or she doesn't want to have whatever kind of relation. We should be okay with that and try other people. You could find someone who would like you for you. So you don't need to use that against the lady and say, I'll deal with her. Justice will catch up with you.
Okay, you said no means no. When a lady says no, no is no. Now let's relate this in marriage, because a lot of times when we talk about rape, we talk about people who have most times nothing to do with the person. Now in marriage, is it safe for me to say that when a wife says no to her husband, no should mean no? I want to actually paint a scenario. Imagine we just had a quarrel. I'm married and this is my husband. We had a quarrel and I'm emotionally not interested in him. I'm so angry, I'm so mad, I'm so sad at the same time, and I do not want anything to do with him. I don't want to even see his face. And then he comes and starts touching me. And I say, no, I don't want. And then he forces himself on me. Is that rape?
Okay.
There's forceful penetration.
So when it comes to marriage, it's a bit tricky, because we'll not call it rape, because the law doesn't call it rape. So that's why we need to, like we said, educate the boy child who would grow up to become a man, a married man. And so when he knows that he's not entitled to a woman's body, whether a wife, a girlfriend, an acquaintance, or whatever, so he would be able to respect her enough that when she says no, and then he should know that no means no. But right now, like I said, the law is dynamic, but at this stage, at this point where we are, when it comes to between a man and his wife, we don't call it rape.
That's sad. Because a lot of women are being raped by their husbands. You people should not eat me because it's just the plain truth. She says no and you, I don't pay. Wait till concern me, I don't pay. But I don't know, doctor, do you agree with me on this, or you want to go with the line of the law?
Honestly, I'm sure even for my colleague here, she would agree with me that quite all right, the law says it's not rape, but I'm sure you would want the law to eventually say it is rape, because there have been cases of women who have been killed by their husbands. They have been beaten, raped, and killed by their husbands. Now, their children left without a mother. It happens in marriages. Like she has said, and thank you, Lord, the law is dynamic. Eventually, Nigeria will get there, where it will be possible for a wife to come out, or even a husband. There are women that assault their husbands. There are women that probably rape their husbands too. So it's just a matter of time. I think Nigeria would eventually get there.
Okay, so I'm going to take a few more messages. This is a really long one. This one says, yes, rape is a serious crime in Nigeria. It is a criminal offense, and if found guilty, carries a life sentence. There are various codes that govern rape in Nigeria because rape and assault are serious crimes against the dignity and sexual rights of an individual. Consent is a predominant factor when it comes to offenses of rape and sexual assault. In order for us to see an increase in the rate of prosecution and convictions of sexual offenders, there needs to be an increase in advocacy and awareness. I think that's what both of you have actually said. And the person also goes on to say, it is important to always remember that rape can happen to anyone, but it is never the fault of the victim under any circumstances. It is always the fault of the rapist. I want to stress that part. It is always the fault of the rapist. It is not the victim's fault in any way, regardless of how the person is dressed, or regardless of whether the person was calling for it, begging for it indirectly in the rapist's eye. Okay, the person goes on to say, rape is a deliberate and conscious decision. All right, this is coming from Barrister Obai Siagbon. I think I should say he's a senior colleague.
Yes, my very senior colleague.
Okay, and this person says, okay, rapists should be castrated. Oh, from Osa in Benin City. Thank you so much to all of you who sent in some messages. I can't go ahead to take some more. I really wish I could. But you can still keep the conversation going on Facebook, on our Facebook page at Ladies Night on ITV/radio. Before I let my guests go, I want you guys, to girls, ladies, to say something to the victims out there. What are your last words to them? What are your parting words to them? Okay. The victims now.
Victims?
Yeah.
Thank you. I would say simply that as a victim of rape, forceful or not, whether it was because you were drunk, you were drugged, you were beaten and then raped, the best thing you can do for yourself is go to the hospital immediately. When you get to the hospital, every good hospital at least will ensure you write a statement. They would invite the police for maybe, should I say UBTH now, there's a police station just in front of it for a good reason. So your statement will be collected, and at least that would be more concrete. Instead of sometime in future you are trying to remember what happened and then the story becomes a little shaky. Yeah. When you give your statement almost immediately, it will be more coherent. After that, a series of tests will be done for you. You will be given HIV prophylaxis, that's drugs that would prevent you from getting HIV if the rapist had HIV as at the time of intercourse or rape. I won't call it intercourse, as at the time of rape, yes. So that would prevent any, oh no, I die no situation. Then also you should be given drugs that will prevent pregnancy. I don't think I know anybody who would want to carry a child for her rapist and then give birth to the child. So at least this will be given to you to prevent pregnancy. Then you will be started on antibiotics to also prevent diseases like chlamydia, infections from trichomonas, gonorrhea. So doing this, you are protecting yourself. At that point, if you eventually decide to press charges or not, it's fine. But the important thing is that you have protected your health. And then you would also be exposed to a psychiatrist or a mental health consultant who would be able to give you therapy, and you can then get follow-up subsequently, because it is not a once-in-a-lifetime treatment. You won't take your antibiotics and go. You would come back and then you'll be followed up so that you don't end up falling into depression or developing post-traumatic stress disorder. So this is for the rapist, sorry, for the victim. It is not your fault. It is not your fault, but you have to take care of your health. Thank you very much.
Okay. You made mention of a rapist or a victim not wanting to carry the child of someone who raped her.
Yes.
Now, last week on the show, we actually pushed play to a video of a lady who killed her own daughter. And her reason was because she felt really bad. She couldn't go to school because of the child. She just had this whole mindset of, this child has brought problems for me. She actually didn't want to keep the child at first because, according to her, she was raped by her boyfriend. Now, society has actually imprinted it on her mind that it was her fault because she went to his house in the first place. And so she killed the child. The child was about 1 year and 9 months. We talked about it, and we also established the fact that probably she had postpartum psychosis. But when I also talked to some doctors, they were like, at 1 year, 9 months, it's not postpartum psychosis again. So do you think that can actually affect a person? Like, okay, I decide, okay, I can't kill this child. Probably they didn't go to the hospital in time and they took in, they got pregnant. Now, is it better for the person to just abort that child from the beginning? Do medical abortion, like take some pills and stuff like that, or they carry that child? Do you think that they'll have, or they stand the risk of having postpartum psychosis?
Okay, for a patient to have been raped, carried the pregnancy to term and given birth, wouldn't be easy, honestly. Nobody wants to carry the child of someone who raped her. I don't know of other people, but I can speak for myself.
Okay.
But somehow she did it. She gave birth to her child. But somewhere along the line, she killed the child.
This is like 1 year and 9 months.
It is definitely not postpartum psychosis, because the time.
I just wanted to establish that, because
no,
last
it's really
week on the
not.
show, we really had this long argument over it.
But on the other hand, it could just be psychosis.
Okay.
And that's different. For postpartum psychosis, it's connected to, well, should I say hormones and the events of pregnancy and birth. And then for some women, it would tilt them into this phase of, I think there was a woman I saw, they had to take her baby away. And then, like, they made sure her and her baby were not in the same place for the first few weeks, because she would try to kill the baby, basically. She would fight and fight that she's not breastfeeding the baby should die. But this woman in question, I know it wasn't even postpartum psychosis. She already had a mental disorder before she gave birth. So for this woman, I don't think it is postpartum psychosis anymore. It's possible it is just plain psychosis, because it's very abnormal for a mother to kill her child. Honestly, it's very abnormal.
This one actually planned it.
Exactly.
She had a long planning.
And on the other hand, correct me if I'm wrong, abortion is against the law in Nigeria.
Yes, it is.
It is surrounded by a lot of laws. They are very specific. I have to stress that, specific indications for abortion that, and these indications are backed up by law. And simply not wanting the baby is really not enough, at least not in Nigeria. If you have decided to, if you have allowed conception take place, you will give birth to that baby based on the Nigerian law. That is why it is important to report to the hospital, so that emergency contraceptive can be administered, even as late as about 5 days from the point of intercourse. An IUCD can be put in. It would work even as far as 5 days after exposure, unlike the post-pill or the postinol or whatever. That one, by the second, third day, the efficacy is just reducing. So by the third day, you might just have maybe 30% possibility of preventing contraception. Sorry, preventing conception. Sorry, but at least if you are to report to your hospital as late as 5 days, an IUCD can be put in and it will prevent pregnancy.
Okay.
Thank you.
Barrister Satu, your last words to victims out there. What do you have to say to them? Especially those who haven't spoken up, because I know a lot of ladies have been raped, whether they like to term it rape or not. Some just decide to themselves, let me work out go there in first place, so no need to even say I was raped. So what's your last word to them?
For the rape survivor, let me call them that. What you went through, I'm sure it was definitely not easy, and I'm sure you live with it every day and you regret the incident because someone took advantage of you without your consent. I want to say that that story doesn't have to be your only story. You can heal from it. In as much as we advocate that you speak up so that you can heal faster, I want to also reassure you that it is your story. So it is yours to tell or not to tell. But I would advise that you prepare yourself and then you speak up, because then you would not only be speaking for yourself, but because you'll be speaking for a whole lot of other ladies that would have fallen victim to this same person. And right now I'm happy that there is a register for people who have been convicted of rape and sentenced so that they can be put on display. The law is on your side. And our society, NGOs and awareness is already being made offline on Facebook, social media platforms, and offline to make sure that you're no longer seen as the bad person. You're no longer seen as the cause of that rape. We are blaming the rapist. He is the animal.
Or she is the animal.
Or she is the animal, as the case may be. It wasn't your fault. You can rise above it. You can build up your life again. You can start your life again. I hope you heal, and I'm rooting for you.
Wow. That sounds like a solemn, I don't know what to call it. I felt like you were talking to me. Well, anyways, thank you so much, Dr. Osawese Izomo, for being on the show with us. And of course, Barrister Usato Akenua. This was an amazing episode of the program Ladies Night. I gave a heads up just before we started talking at the beginning of the show, and I said my regular discussants, my regular guests on the show will not be joining me today. They're behind the camera actually watching and learning as well. So probably next week we'll have another exciting topic to talk about, and they will be here on the show. So all of you who used to tune in because of one person or the other, I'm really sorry. But I'm sure that today my guests have been able to enlighten you and of course throw more light on the bad and the negative effects of rape on the victims, as well as the laws that should be put in place to ensure that people who are found to be guilty of rape are properly dealt with according to the law. All right, my name is Ameze Obai Siagon. I'll be here again next time on the show Ladies Night, so do well to join us.